Welcome to Pulse of Culture. I'm Karolina Shapland. This very special episode is coming from London, from the very first Polish Jazz Festival, coming across many venues in this city. At Cadogan Hall, we had a chance to talk to Leszek Możdżer, the legend of Polish jazz piano. Leszek, thank you so much for finding the time, especially today, just before your show.
Yeah, it's a great honor to be here. Thank you.
Well, could you explain to our viewers what is so special about Polish jazz sound?
What's Polish jazz? This is a question which is rather should be turned on to the maybe journalists and people who professionally.
But to you,
to me, of course, Polish jazz is something very close to my heart. But jazz itself is a life force, is a system. It's a system based on 12 mathematically corrected notes. And you cannot say that jazz itself has any nationality. But as a marketing product, Polish jazz is a very strong trademark. And in Poland, we've got a lot of really amazing, very creative, powerful musicians, starting with Tomasz Stańko, Zbigniew Namysłowski, and all that. Passing by generation, and now the amount of Polish musicians is so huge that you cannot really understand what's going on. There are so many fantastic musicians that it's slowly becoming a problem even.
Well, you say a problem and you say it's a marketing tool, but also it's a huge power of Polish culture. You know, it's a cultural diplomacy, Polish jazz. So when you go abroad, do you feel like an ambassador of Polish culture?
Yes, of course. Very important part of jazz is improvisation, and I don't think you can live your life without one. So you have to improvise to survive. You have to improvise to find out who you really are, and to play with the system, with the surroundings, and to play with all the people around you and with all the rules. So improvisation is a very important part of life, and a mistake, which is an important part of life, and improvisation itself, and jazz, because mistake became one of the building forces for jazz music. You know, mistakes are everywhere in jazz, and mistakes are the things which just opens new opportunities, and we learn from mistakes. So that's why I love jazz so much. And being in Poland, living in Poland, we had to improvise, especially in the hard, dark, communistic times. You had to improvise all the time to survive. Actually, it's like that also now, because the political and the tax system is really, pressing people down. So you have to improvise to survive. So you have to be a jazz band.
Yeah, but how do you find these wonderful improvisation, wonderful mistakes? How do they change depending on a place that you play in? So now we are in Cadogan Hall, a very esteemed place in London. You've just recently played to a huge crowd in a small local jazz festival. So how do you see those mistakes being different?
You have several ways to treat the mistake in the playing. So you can either repeat it, you make an impression like the mistake is supposed to be there. Another option is to follow it. So if it becomes a new chapter or opens new doors, you can enter a completely different reality because of a mistake. That's what usually happens in life. Or you can pretend it didn't happen and just go on with that, with playing. So you have three opportunities.
And how do greatest Polish musicians help you anchor yourself in their ever-changing reality, like Chopin, a composer that you come back to often?
Chopin was a great improviser. He was actually a jazz musician. He was just writing down all his improvisation in a very strict matters. So he really spent a lot of time on composing and putting the notes together. And I think he was a jazz musician as well, and he was very advanced in modern music, tonal music. And the question was, how do they inspire me? Yes, human creativity is a life force, which is a bioelectric field. So as soon as you start to enter and understand some other brain or mind which is creative. You just plug into the source which is inspiring you. So you receive a lot of signals, frequencies, and bioelectrical streams which simply move your soul to create. So as soon as you become closer to any interesting creator, you just become a part of the field.
So what would your advice be for the young musicians entering the Chopin International competition this year? Should they enter the stream of Chopin's consciousness? Should they release their inner jazz person?
Every single person asking that question will get a different answer. There's no...
What your advice would be?
You have to observe your body, you know, because David R. Hawkins, the scientist, he told in his books that the truth makes your body stronger, your truth. And your lie makes your body weaker. So only by observing your body, how you feel, does it become magnified or intensified, or the life force starts to flow in your body, or if you feel that the life force is leaving your body, it means it's not a way for you. So simply ask the question and observe how your body reacts.
And is that how you keep on going? Because you've mentioned Stanko, you've mentioned the old guard of the jazz musician Ptashin, they sadly leaving us, and you now, the life force of jazz. So how do you keep on going? How do you keep on finding fresh approaches?
The more I play music, I start to understand that music is not everything, because the life and all.
Did I hear it correctly? You said music is not everything?
I'm sorry to say that, but you express your life through the music. So the more you become experienced, and the more also darkness you experience, your music becomes more and more interesting. Of course, you have to stay in touch with the workshop. You have to practice, and then you have to follow the new things, learn, and all that. But in fact, people are not coming to the concert to listen to music. They are coming to meet a person who is perfectly balanced with all the life experience. So, digging into dark side of life and light side of life, you bring it on a stage with you, and you express love to the process of life and progress.
Well, finally, I have to ask you, this meeting of the dark force, the light force, is that something we're going to experience today when you're going to play with a very young virtuoso of percussion? You, the greatest, the most established virtuoso of piano, meeting somebody starting almost at the beginning of his career. Should he follow the light, or should he go into the dark side?
Yeah, the dark side is a part you don't accept in yourself. And I have an impression that Tim is a very, very talented musician, very open, very sensitive. He's an amazing percussionist and drummer. And the more you escape your darkness, it will anyway, follow you, and it needs your understanding, but it's a different topic. I'm very happy that I will play with Tim tonight. We had a wonderful rehearsal. He's extremely sensitive, and I think it will be a good set.
I'm sure it will be. I can't wait. Thank you so much, Leszek.
Thank you for the invitation.
King's Place is a modern cultural hub in the heart of London, where another part of the Polish Jazz Festival took place. Here we caught up with Anna Maria Jopek, one of the most famous Polish jazz chanteuses. So, Anna Maria, what would you say, which element of your music makes it distinctively Polish?
It's hard to analyze for me, but I suppose melody. Melody itself, taken from Polish folk roots, the scales, the kind of nostalgia that is so much written in our music. When we take all our folk themes, it's always kind of certain melancholy in it. And so I suppose melody is the thing that is really, really very much Polish. And around these melodies, we are trying to improvise with respect for scales, but also sometimes breaking it completely. So the main thing is probably what my parents taught me In my childhood, my parents used to sing and dance in a famous Polish folk group called Mozdzer. My father, Stanisław Jopek, was worldwide singer. And in fact, all these beautiful songs like Dwa serduszka, cztery oczy, Cyraneczka, W polu lipeńka, that were the songs that were my lullabies when I was very young. The first thing that I've heard, the first thing that I realized is really beautiful, and the first thing that really touched me when I was very, very little. So probably this is the main source of everything for me in music. Whenever I think about it, later I was studying classical music for 17 years in all the stages of Polish school training as a pianist. And when I could only reach Chopin and Moniuszko, Karłowicz, later Lutosławski, Penderecki, it was always there. This certain type of melody, certain type of melancholy, which is really printed in this landscape of Mazovian fields, and the space, and the sorrow, and longing for freedom. Very much, all of this is in it.
So I know that you really don't like to be pigeonholed as a jazz singer or a folk singer, or even a lady who sings poetry. But as your career is evolving and progressing, where at this stage, where do you think you've arrived? What do you call yourself?
I don't know, I'm always in my way. But I must admit that recently, last 4 or 5 years, I've been studying jazz very hardly, and this is something that may probably last the whole life, to even try to learn something little. But this is probably right now the main thing in my life, to study jazz harmonies, jazz masters, the art of improvising, rhythm, all these things that probably classical music could never ever give me in this way. Jazz is the only genre that requires, in fact, composing music in real time. This is and in a group, which is unbelievable. So people must be prepared and must so much listen to each other, so much. There is total dependence in a group, and this is fascinating. I think in terms of human communication, this is for me the music that really is far beyond any other kind of communication, like words. No words needed. This is something much more stronger. It's like feeling each other, feeling through each other, and nothing else like that, really. So this is what I studied. This is what I would like to do better.
And of course, this brings us to this question about collaboration, which in jazz is so important. Last night we saw you with Mozdzer. Today we'll see you with the quintet. So what propels you to open yourself up to these sort of risky musically situations where you're there with other people?
Well, I'm very lucky that they invite me, because they are really masters. Leszek is amazing, and Piotr Wojtasik, I think he's the best trumpet player on the whole planet, and also my musical master. So his music is so much different from anything else. So whenever I can enter the worlds of these people, this is simply making me very, very rich. And this is a privilege to witness it, and to add few notes. This really makes us singers feel also free, that we can experience so many different landscapes in music. I wish I could have skills to follow, because this is important, to have skills, then to really carefully listen what's going on around, and trying to forget yourself, trying to really be inside the music.
And that's all we have prepared for you. I'm Karolina Shapland, and this was Pulse of Culture.